This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for How to Super Age with Elise Marie Collins. And Elise, one thing I have to tell you, your podcast is never boring because you find guests all across the spectrum of life. And that is what is so important for all of us to take the next step and live our life to the best ability we have. So, tell us a little bit about your guest today.
I am going to introduce her, and I hope I say her last name correctly. Kelli Calabrese is a 34-year-old fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and wellness coach. She is a clinical exercise physiologist, 3-time best-selling author, and she's appeared on all major networks and has spoken on stages internationally, including for Sir Richard Branson. She is the creator of Intentionally Fabulous. I think her age might be wrong in this bio. I might have copied it wrong. Creating an amazing bonus life. And she's the co-host of Fit Over 50 Life. She has an online nutrition store with over 100 transforming products. And she's a single mompreneur to 2 college children.
Wow.
I am so excited to talk to her and hear about her take on how to super age. So welcome, Kelli. Do you have anything else you want to add or correct in that bio?
Elise and Karen, thank you both. It is such an honor to be here. I'm just excited. And yes, so little correction. I've actually been in business as a health coach for 34 years, but I'm in my 50s. So that's the 34. That's how long I've been doing this. I was actually 13 when I wrote in my journal, I will be an exercise therapist, but I had to wait until I was 17 to officially get certified.
Wow. Yeah, that was my bad, because now when I read it again, it said a 34-year fitness, and I just put 34-year-old. That was my
Well,
we have aging on the mind. We're thinking about
and you look 34. So there you go.
True. Yeah. And I just, people probably wouldn't flinch if I said that. And we all look different at different ages. And as I also say, we have a subjective age. Some days I may feel 34 or 20, and some days I might feel 80 because I didn't sleep well, or different things are going on. So our age is, it's not only a number. The number tells us how many times we've revolved around the sun, but there's a lot to explore in this realm of aging. So how do you stay fit and fabulous? I know you have a lot of routines. You've written about them, and there's so much to explore in this area. What are your top tips for staying quote unquote fit? We could start with even exercise today.
Okay. Well, it definitely is a mindset, and it is a lifestyle. It's your identity. It's who you are. It's who you become. Just like your identity might be someone who overfeeds, eats fast food, sits on the couch. I mean, that's a choice, and that's a mindset, and that's an identity. The same way being fit and aging youthfully is. It, not to say that it's easy, but it's just not a struggle when it's who you are. When you line up with someone who makes the choices to, drink more water and drive by the fast food places and say no to the cake or whatever it might be. And it's not all the time, but it's just who you become. You're not someone who chooses to overfeed, overconsume, drink more alcohol. So a lot of it really has to do with your identity. And you talked about, the times that we go around, meaning the chronological age. Well, there's also a biological age. So it is both nature and nurture. So we have the opportunity to work with our genes and express the best side of them. And epigenetics is actually one of the most studied things right now. But back to your question, if you look at the 24 hours in a day that we all have, how can we spend those moments so that we can get the most out of them, be the most energized, have the best brain health, be strong, be active, think well, all those things? We spend a good amount of our time sleeping. So would it be okay if we started talking about sleep first?
I would love that. That was going to be my next question. So
Okay,
Also very attuned.
We'll definitely get back to the exercise for sure, because I do love that. So sleep, we are designed to go to sleep when the sun goes down and to wake up when the sun comes up. That's how it was designed back in the days of creation. But we're living in a world with fluorescent lights and technology, and you can go 24/7. I grew up in New York, the city that never sleeps, right? So we get away from what is natural. And so we want to get back to that. And I'm not saying if you live in Alaska and it's dark for 16 hours a day that you should sleep that long, but in general, it's a good rule to start to think about leaving this awakened state at the time when you want to go to bed. And whether that's 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. or 9 p.m., whatever works out for you and your schedule and your body. Everybody is a little bit different. Ideally, about 7 hours is what is found to be great for health and longevity. There's some people who are super healthy who need a little bit less, and there's some who need more. And at different stages of life, we may need more, aging wise, but also season wise. So if you're in a season of your life where you're starting a new business, or you just became a new grandma and you're involved in that, then it may adjust. So we have seasons where we may need more rest, need more sleep. But in general, when you decide you want to go to bed, I like to back it up about 3 hours and have your last meal about 3 hours before you want to fall asleep. So you're not focused on digesting the food. You have the opportunity to digest it before you go to sleep. Another thing to do is to start cutting out technology. What happens is we are so stimulated by the light, by the information, by the scrolling. Our brains are just going so fast as we're swiping, scrolling. Even watching TV, if you think about TV and movies today versus when we grew up, it was a lot slower. Right now, the screen changes about every 2 seconds. I mean, if you looked at our TV programming growing up, it was one camera on the set for a long time before it would change to another camera or even a commercial. So we need to slow the brain down. I like to make some sleepy time tea that has some chamomile in it. I will start to actually have essential oils that I will use lavender. Just start to put it on my skin. I will light lavender candles. I might take a lavender Epsom salt bath. So just getting the senses involved and starting to calm down, wind down. I do take an evening walk, but this is not a power walk. This is a worship walk, a prayer walk, a gratitude walk, just time to really unwind, slow down, get out in nature. If you didn't get outside for the whole day, which a lot of people don't except to run to a car or a building, and just breathe it in and let your body start to calm itself down. It could be good to take a bath at night or a shower at night, just, kind of cleansing your body. Just even changing the temperature can be good. Speaking of temperature, the room should be somewhere about 72 degrees or so, so a cooler room. You want to set yourself up for success. So comfortable bedding, comfortable sheets. Sleeping naked is actually okay. It's good. You don't want to be, wound up in a nightshirt or something. So that could actually be good for you. Make sure you have a pillow that is comfortable. I mean, if your pillow is more than a year old, probably switch it out. Not only does it get germy, but it gets really squished down. Other things I do at night is melatonin. I use a melatonin spray. So that helps with, as we get older, we naturally have a little bit less melatonin. Melatonin is like your body's garbage truck. So imagine it just going in, cleaning up the toxins from the day. So if you don't have enough melatonin, you're not getting that detox effect that you would. So just as we get older, it can't help to supplement with a little bit of melatonin, not too much, but just a little bit. Or GABA is another supplement that you can use just to kind of help the sleep along. If you look at what an issue that lack of sleep is, look at the industry, over the counter and prescription for falling asleep. I mean, look at the medications that are being prescribed. And then on the other end, look at the medicine and things that people are using to try and wake up. They need caffeine, they need all these stimulants and all these things to counterbalance what the sleeping pills have done, because you don't wake up fully alert when you've had a sleeping pill. So other things that I do at night, I journal every night, and I will do it for a couple reasons. One is the gratitude, just finishing the day in such gratitude. And when I first started doing it, it was kind of mechanical, like, oh, I'm thankful that I took my vitamins, and I'm thankful this and that. But now I'm like, wow, nobody had the day that I had. Nobody got to talk to this person and do this thing and get this in the mail. And, this day is never going to happen again, ever. Like, it's gone. And this, I'm looking for reasons to be thankful. And you think of it throughout the day as well. Like, oh, I got to remember this happened. I'm going to write that down tonight. But it's also an opportunity to take your thoughts and journal them so that they can leave your mind, and you know that they're there written down if you need them tomorrow. So if you have concerns about a child, an illness, and something professional, whatever it is, you can write it down and you can leave it. I also do prayer at night, which for me just means casting it all onto God. That's what it is for me. It might be something for someone else, if you want to call it universe or whatever, but it's just taking the care and casting it, knowing that tomorrow's a new day and that joy will come in the morning and there's a new opportunity the next day. And I know it makes no sense for me to lay there and wrestle. As far as sleeping positions, lying on your side with a pillow between your legs, so having your legs fully supported, and then another pillow that goes under your head, but also under so that your arm can come over and rest on it. That gives your back muscles a chance to relax. It gives your organs a chance to really breathe and circulate. And if you can stay in that position, then sleep the whole night, that's awesome. Or if you wake up, you can switch sides and go to the other side. I know I said a lot there, so I'll kind of stop there and ask if you have any questions.
That was incredible. And I hope people were taking notes, or if not, get a pen and paper. I like to take notes with my pen. You can see I have my pen here in my hand, or type it out. But that was a really incredible routine. A lot of the things that I tell my clients and students to do. And what I like to emphasize is it's all natural things, and staying in sync with nature is really what I heard throughout the routine. And it does take time, but our bodies are not, like a lot of our devices where we just press something and it changes, or we turn it on and off. And we have to remember that it's hard to think that, oh, we're actually human. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because I also teach restorative yoga, and I do set people up in sideline position, which is great, but I don't sleep that way. And I wondered, I used to teach prenatal yoga. I mean, I still am qualified to teach it. I just don't teach a regular class. And I know a lot of pregnant women needed a big body pillow. So do you use a big body pillow, or do you just use one pillow between your legs and then another pillow between your arms, or how do you do that, Kelli?
I use the two pillows so that I can adjust them, because I want to make sure it's long enough so that my head is not cocked forward trying to stay on the edge of the pillow, and it goes all the way down to my feet. So it's not that I have, even my daughter uses one. I haven't tried it, but the two pillows allows me to angle them so that I can be, you're sort of in a fetal position on your side. I actually had a car accident when I was in my late teens, and chiropractors told me, sleep on your back, sleep on your back. So I trained myself just to sleep on my back. But a friend of mine who is a world-class breath expert and has her doctorates in physical therapy showed me that my ribs were so flared, and it was because I was always lying on my back, and it made it more difficult to breathe. So now that I'm on my side, if you think about an 8-month-old baby, where their chest is kind of down, their little bellies are kind of out, and they diaphragmatic breathe just so easily, versus, being up in presenter mode, or you feel like you need to, be fighting all the time. And that's what lying on the back wasn't as helpful for the breathing. And then a couple of other tips. These aren't things that I do, but I know they help people. White noise. If you live in a place that is noisy, a noise machine may help. If you travel, a noise machine may help. I do a pitch black room, so dark. Do those dark out shades. Do what you can to quiet animals, people, any outside noise, anything that might interrupt you. I don't have any technology in the bedroom. I take the phone and I put it, in the bathroom or, just somewhere where I'm not going to be interrupted by it. I have two kids in college, so, I could sit there and go, what if there's an emergency in the middle of the night? Someone will knock on my door. It will happen. I'm not going to sit there all night with this, light going off. An emergency has not happened yet. My kids are athletes. Anything could happen in the car, on a horse, whatever. But 99.9% of the time, the better sleep is worth it versus the phone going all night and interrupting me. Another is music. I do use music. So there's these beats, and the megahertz that I use, 528, and that's actually to restore, that's the love and DNA and just biological restoration. And it's just instrumental music, and I'll play it as I'm journaling or as I'm praying, but not while I'm sleeping. But you can put it on to go to sleep. I don't like those things to be a must for me, because if I don't have my music or I don't have the machine, I may have difficulty falling asleep. But if it is an issue for people, these are some things that they can try that do work.
Listening to you about the side position, I think is interesting because over the last 6 months, I've been having tremendous sleep issues. And I have hiatal hernia, and I was told sleep on your back, but in an incline. And it wasn't helping. Okay. The last 2 nights, I actually slept on my side, did not wake up during the night, whereas every other night before. So it's interesting when you brought that up, because here was my gastroenterologist who tells me this is going to help me sleep. And I've been arguing with him for months. I'm not sleeping. And then this happened naturally for me. And here you now are confirming it. So, is there a reason why our medical professionals really don't understand some of these techniques?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them in medical school, they're not taught about nutrition. They're not, taught even how to reduce stress, or unless they're in, physical therapy or physiology, or are sleep or even brain experts, they might not get this kind of training and understand that. They get such a small little fraction on these things. And it's really all connected to lowering stress. So sleep, that 7, 8 hours, is such a great opportunity to just release the stress and then let our bodies do what it does. This is when your hormones are regulated. So this is the opportunity for the messengers in your body to get rebalanced, to increase where they need to increase, decrease where they need to decrease, because they control everything: your appetite, your fat burning. Just every function in your body is controlled by a hormone. It's a messenger. It's bringing a message. So if you're not sleeping, now you're chronically stressed. People who sleep less have a much higher incidence of obesity. I mean, for every hour less that you sleep, your incidence of obesity goes up exponentially. I mean, people who sleep less than 5 hours, you have about a 60% chance of being obese, not just overweight, obese. Go down to 4 hours, it's about an 80% chance of being obese. That shows you how important that sleep really is. So do whatever it takes to fall asleep naturally. And you have to set those boundaries. You have to have that discipline. At some point, you need to cut off and go, okay, there's nothing that's happening on Instagram or whatever after this hour that cannot wait till tomorrow. I promise I will not finish my life wishing I scrolled more social media. I just won't. I'm going to wish that I slept and that I had this healthy, able, amazing body, mind, and spirit to live. And so you set that boundary and just say at this time, I mean, put the alert on your phone to turn it off, and then just be, read, walk. You can have a conversation with someone who you love, who isn't going to stress you out. If your mom stresses you out, don't call her before you go to bed. Call her at lunchtime or, before dinner. So choose the things that really bring you peace. And if listening to, I mean, there's so much that you can listen to, just listening to prayer, listening to instrumental music. If you like to play piano and that relaxes you, then choose the things that bring you joy and relaxation.
Yeah. And I love the way you bring in the boundaries, because it is so important to, shut things off. But sometimes we have trouble because those Instagram feeds and all the messages, they do give us a hit of dopamine. So do you have any tips that you use with clients for either gradually or cold turkey putting that device in the bathroom or somewhere else? Because I can say from my experience, and also having a son that now he's graduated from college, but we're all using our devices and we're not always turning it off when we go to bed. So any tips for really making that a strong boundary?
Yeah, I mean, notice how you sleep when you are sleeping with your phone. Notice your sleep when you looked at the phone until the very last minute you got in bed and then shut it off. How is that sleep compared to when you shut it down an hour or two or three earlier? I mean, parents are finding when they take their devices away from their kids, they have a whole new child. I mean, this child starts interacting, and but there's always a little in between adjusting season. Like first you might be grumpy, or you might be just the addiction. Talk about the dopamine wanting to go. So when you want to change a habit, you can do it a couple ways. You can stop doing something. You can do less of something. You can start something new or do more of something. So if you can cold turkey, then replace it with something that's going to be awesome and amazing and life-giving. Maybe you've been wanting to read more. Maybe you've been wanting to write more. Maybe you've been wanting to spend more time with your pet or get outside, or painting might be something to do the last hour of the day because it's relaxing, or whatever hobby that you like, as long as it doesn't stimulate your brain but is calming, replace it. I mean, if you look at people at the end of their lives, the things that they regret are the things that they didn't do. I wish I spent more time with my pet, or having conversation with a person, or pursuing my hobby or childhood thing that I love. They're not going to say, I wish I spent more time on Snapchat. I promise. No one will finish their life saying that. And if you can do it long enough that you start to feel real meaning and purpose and difference in your life, you will notice, and there will be a ripple effect at your work, the people you live with. A lot of times, the people we live with get the worst of us, they get what's left. So, how about, if you reignited your marriage or your connection with your kids, or did something else and really put the technology down? I mean, the research is there. More people are committing suicide, more people are depressed. I mean, you've got at some point just put a boundary on that device, even if you live alone, especially if you live alone.
Yeah. And I love the way you broke down how to change a habit. Again, you might want to listen to this podcast twice, because Kelli's just dropping knowledge right and left, because it's true. Sometimes we think, or, in our minds kind of play tricks on us. I'll just stop. But if we haven't thought it through, because I've taught habit science before, and I know habit science, if we don't think it through, it's not going to work. It's not going to stick. We'll just go back, because it's like we didn't replace it with anything. It's like we're hungry in a certain way, maybe mentally, emotionally. And I love the way you said, try reading, or something you've been wanting to try out, and even tying it in with regrets that people have when they either are older or on their deathbed, because we don't want to look back. But it's also hard to be present in the moment and think about that. It just somehow our minds are always like, okay, what do I want right now?
Well, I also think that we have this perception that everybody else is keeping up with what's happening. So they're on technology, they're doing the things. And if we don't do it, oh my, we're going to fall behind. And there are days that I get that way. I mean, most of the time, there's a certain time every night I walk away. And if I haven't answered an email or whatever, I just haven't done it. Tomorrow will be soon enough. But there are those other days that it's like, I really have to go back one more time. I have to see if Elise responded. I have to see if, we got more hits on something. And those are the days that I'm letting my assumptions guide me, because I'm assuming I have to do these things. So I like what you said before, Kelly, that we do have to replace it with something that is going to be just as meaningful, if not more so, whether that be journaling, prayer, yoga, something that says, hey, this is my time.
Mm.
Exactly. And the FOMO is real, the fear of missing out. I mean, that's a real thing. And so we just have to be real with ourselves and say, you know what? Everyone looks like they have it all together on social media. They don't. I mean, comparison is the thief of joy. It will steal your joy. If I'm going to sit there, I mean, the research shows that if you're home on a Friday night and you're scrolling and you see your friends out eating dinner, even if you made a delicious, healthy, yummy meal that you love, you're going to feel bad about yourself because you're not out at a restaurant ordering food. I mean, the comparison is just stealing our joy. People are more depressed, and it is real. Technology has its place, and I'm not anti-technology, and certainly there's some great apps that can help with your health. But you need to have limits on it. It's just not how we're designed. It is unnatural. It's not good for our brains. I get concerned for my kids who are college age and even the little ones coming up behind them, how we see these toddlers in restaurants on technology, and it's going to be challenging for them to sit and listen to a teacher for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
Absolutely.
have to really get disciplined when it comes to that and just use it when it's really for the good of whatever our purpose and plan is, and not just mindlessly wasting our lives.
So
Yeah.
what happened in your life that at age 13 you knew this is what you want to do? Because most kids when they're age 13, um, they want to be teachers, models, lawyers, So what triggered you?
That is a great question. Well, we do things to move away from pain and to move towards pleasure. And for me, the pain was a really strong family history of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, cancer, alcoholism. I looked at all that and went, ooh, I don't want anything to do with that. And the moving towards was I love running, dancing, jumping, swimming, cheerleading, softball. I mean, anything I could do to be healthy, and I would get this endorphin rush, and I'd be like, what do people not get about this? Like, this is amazing. And so I committed then to being healthy, being well. And I didn't even know what an exercise therapist was, but I've always been a journaler, and I wrote it in my diary, back then. And then when I was 17 and finally got certified, I wrote that my mission is to provide individuals with the tools to make health, fitness, and wellness a permanent and enjoyable part of our lives. And 34 years later, that has still served me through a career of being able to do a lot of beautiful things, helping people take a spirit, mind, body approach to whole body wellness.
Mm. I love that. And any other tips about exercising that, especially as we get older, because I teach yoga, which is a great way to stay fit, but not everybody even likes yoga. Many of my own family members, they'll do a couple poses with me, but especially my parents, no, they'll do a couple poses, but they're not super into it. They like to walk, or my mom likes to just get out and be active when she's doing something. She's not a super exerciser herself. Any tips for fitness, especially as we get older?
Absolutely. Well, I do love yoga. I have 27 different certifications. Yoga is not one. I know what it
Oh,
takes to become a yoga instructor. I honor you. I know it's a big, big, big commitment, but I do yoga. I do love the restorative yoga on a Sunday morning or even at night. Just it's a great another way to really calm down, stretch your body out, and to leave that heightened state of awakeness and focus on breath. We are designed to move every single day. We just are. So some movement every day, not in a, religious, so strict kind of way, but be intentional about something every day to get your body moving. Even if it's intentional breath work, even if it's a walk around a lake that's leisurely, everything doesn't have to be, super high intensity, but do something every day. I'm a big believer in strength training. That is what shapes your body. Your muscles or your fat and your fat will shape your body. You want to be strong. As people get older, they will break a bone and then fall. People think that they fall and break a bone. That happens too, but they just get so weak that bones are breaking, and the muscles help to keep the bones strong, the tendons strong, the ligaments strong. It keeps you functional. You need to get up off the ground. You need to be able to lift something, get your bag up on the airplane. The strength training, that is definitely a big key to your fountain of youth. 3 days a week would be excellent, ideal. Even 30 minutes to do a total body routine 3 days a week where there's some resistance against your muscles that keeps them building, growing, stronger, rebuilding. I do love cardio every day. Again, it doesn't mean ride your bike for 2 hours. It could be 20 minutes, take a stroll around the block where when you come back, you're like, okay, I got a little sweat going, my heart rate's going, my legs are throbbing a little, I did a little something, that's good. Flexibility is often a forgotten component of fitness. And if you just sit and people watch older people and watch them move, you'll see how being that rigid and stiff is not good. And you will look old, you will feel old, you will function like an old person versus keeping flexibility, which helps you with good posture, being able to move without pain. And then, if something happens, doesn't it make sense that your body is in a great position to heal? Your immunity is good. Your recovery is going to be faster. If something happens to your knee or your hip, the rest of you is good. So the strengthening, the cardio, the flexibility are all really important components of fitness. So I'm all for doing it every day. Again, don't beat yourself up if you miss a day, but put it on your calendar and keep it as an important priority, just like you would a meeting with your accountant or your business partner or anything else important. It's just as important, if not more important. So schedule it in there, high priority, and make it happen.
Yeah, last summer, I can say I did recover really quickly from a sprained ankle. I sprained my ankle pretty badly when I was trying to help my dad. We were having an outdoor party with one of their friends. My dad is now he's 92. I think last summer he was 91. And I didn't want him. We didn't have railings. Now we have railings. I live with my parents and we have railings outside. But there was no railings and there was a couple of steps. And I was like, no, you shouldn't carry those wine glasses down the steps without a railing. So I went up and they're actually right over there, 3 or 4 steps. I don't even remember how many, but I didn't realize that I just went up 1 step and then I was reaching, got the wine glasses, and then I forgot about the step and I landed. So the funny thing was, it was like all the 80 and 90-year-olds were, I was going to be the one running from the kitchen, bringing all the food, but I had my foot up on a chair. But the beautiful thing was I didn't really, knock on wood, nothing, no damage, and my ankle's great. And, yeah. And I really attested to, I was doing a lot of Qigong at that time, and you do a lot of foot exercises. I do yoga, walking. And I think, that I was flexible enough and I had the strength that nothing was damaged. So I was so grateful for that. And I also knew how to heal. That's so important that you talked about healing. I wondered if you could say something about epigenetics, because you touched on that. And that to me is a fascinating development. And it was something that, nobody really thought. We thought our genes and our who we were, there's so many things we thought were set in stone, even how many neurons we had in our brain at one point. And a lot of changes happen in epigenetics. Maybe just give us your take on epigenetics and how we can use that information, each of us individually.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely one of the largest areas of study right now. The largest is actually inflammation, which is the common denominator of every single disease. It all goes back to an inflammatory response. But the epigenetics looks at nature versus nurture. We thought you have the genes you have, and that's it. So if everyone in your family is obese, you're just going to be obese. You do have an 80% chance of being obese if both of your parents are obese, but so much of that is behavior. It is the nurture, not the nature. And what the research is showing is that you can overcome genes for, bad heart disease or diabetes or any of these things with nature, with good habits. So that is great news. It means we are not just destined to, okay, well, my mom got cancer at this age, so I'm going to. For me, when I talked about at the decision at the age of 13, my dad was the oldest living male in his family at 36. Every male before him had died of heart disease, but they were drinkers, they were stressed out, they were smokers, they were overweight. And so it was the combination. So the great news is we have choice and that we can reverse any disease. There is not a single medicine that cures disease, but good habits with exercise, diet, mental health, sleep, the choices you make to stop smoking, stop excessive alcohol, stop the abuse of things. Your body is amazing. I mean, it can turn around at any time. A year from now, you could be in the best shape of your life. I mean, if you're over fat or you have headaches or heart disease or blood condition, I mean, you can reverse just about anything. There are very few things that you can't improve the condition of or completely eliminate, including some of those diseases that are killing people, like diabetes and heart disease.
Yeah, I wonder if you could also tie it into mindset, because I feel like there's a certain way that our way of thinking, it's not on a certain level. I consciously know these things. And I know people around me, as I'm also a teacher and a coach, I need to guide people to shift their mindset, even unconsciously, because, it's been in our collective consciousness. I don't know how else to describe it, but I'm thinking of this right now on the spot, that we don't change and we're sort of set in stone. So how do you help people overcome any mindset challenges with believing that they can change and reverse maybe chronic conditions and reduce inflammation?
That is a great, great question. 95% of what we do after the age of 35 is habitual. So we just get into this habit of this is how we do things. And not only do we get the same results, but it's diminishing returns because we're getting older. So if you're doing the same thing and expecting a different result, we know that's the definition of insanity. You have to do something different. And it starts with your mind, because what you think about is what you act on, and what you act on is what becomes your habit, and what becomes your habit becomes your identity. So all of a sudden you now identify with a sedentary person. You identify with someone who smokes or drinks a bottle of wine every night or whatever it is. So it all started here, but it's on autopilot. So constantly renewing your mind, renewing your mind, renewing your mind, just lining your mind up with truth. So what is really true? If I want to get this result, what has to happen? And start to work backwards from there. One breath, one step, one bite, one decision, one thought at a time. So when people come to me and they want to change, they want it all and they want it immediately. I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to exercise. It doesn't work that way. Pick one thing that you are willing to commit to and start to move towards that until it's actually happening. Then pick another thing. And you need to have that big why. You need to have that motivation that is just bigger than you, so that when you I don't feel like getting up every morning and exercising, but I do. I might hit the snooze once. I know, okay, I've got, 5 or 7 less minutes, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it. You have to have a big enough reason to want to do it. And it typically has to be a reason that you really search your soul deep for that meaning for you. Some people can do it externally, like, oh, I want to look good in my daughter's wedding, mother of the bride kind of thing. And that's okay. That can work for some people, but typically it's got to be something on the inside where you just decide. And decide in Latin, decidere, means to cut off any other possibility. So you just decide, I am going to join that walking club. I am going to I'm going to sign up for that 5K and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to get a plan. I'm going to get an app on my phone or join the group and work backwards one step at a time to start making it happen. And again, your body's so amazing. You're going to see results. First you might lose a little water weight and you're like, oh, this is good. And the next week you start to feel it in your jeans and you're okay. Your body's going to give you feedback. This isn't the stock market where we're guessing, cryptocurrency. Like we think it's no, this is your body. It's amazing. It's going to respond. You drink water instead of soda, or you cut the 4 glasses of wine down to 1. or you go to the gym and you lift the weights consistently, you're going to walk by the mirror one day and go, I think I see a little muscle there. It's going to happen. Oh, I sleep better. And then after you start noticing, other people will start to notice and they'll go, what, you've done something different. You're kind of glowing, or your energy's better, your posture's better, your skin, and that feedback, that encouragement really helps. It does help to have a coach. So Elise is an awesome coach. People should reach out for her and have that knowledge and that accountability. I mean, this is what she does. She's a pro at this. So hire a pro. That helps when you can't do it on your own. Not forever, but for a while until you get there and it is your identity. So accountability of a coach or even a partner, someone who means something to you, who's willing to help hold your feet to the fire. And if that's someone you have to pay, then invest, because you are worth it. And you're either going to pay for your health care or your sick care. Choose health care. It is just wise to choose health care. Listen to good information, read good books. I mean, I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. You can't
Wow.
even, that's not even a fraction of them. But on my nightstand, I mean, I've got a stack just putting good information about mindset in. Listen to some of the top coaches about renewing your mind, change your habits. If you get up every day and the first thing you do is turn on that phone and start scrolling and looking, do something different. Your brain will change, and you'll see the result, because your body's amazing.
And we also have to stop listening to the people around us who say, you don't have to change. It's okay. You're doing fine. I know growing up, I used to say to my mother, you know, I need to lose weight. My mother was always on a yo-yo diet, but yet she wouldn't want me to diet. And I finally said to her one day, I wouldn't have to diet if you didn't have all the cake and cookies in the house and you expected your children to eat them. And one day, all of a sudden, she changed. She realized what she was doing. She had created bad habits for us. And when you grow up with those habits, you bring them onto your family and you keep doing it. But when you make that conscious decision to make that change, when people around you say you don't have to, it's not up to them. It's up to you.
So many good points there. And one is taking responsibility. So being able to respond, to say, you know what, I'm not going to bring the cake into the house. And if I live in a house where there's cake, I'm just going to choose not to eat it. And so you're being responsible. And the other thing is, there will be people who will try and sabotage us. So whether they bring the cake into the house, or, oh, come on out and, have some drinks, you worked hard all week, or, don't go work out. Come on, we're going to go do this. You're going to have people who are trying to sabotage your success, or they're not as committed to you as you are. And they don't have the same goals that you do. And so you need to be responsible to say, you know what, I've committed to this, and these are the choices that I'm making. And whether they're trying to pull you down or what, you need to get up and do it for you, and be responsible, and not blame and not make excuses. So lots of great points there. Good for you.
So many good points today. And I know, Kelli, you've written 3 books. Can you tell us about each of your books? Because not only do you read, you produce books, which is incredible. And I know we've just barely scratched the surface today. And actually, before you say your 3 books, I want to just remind everybody of a quote that you said that I thought was so powerful. Not sure where you got this, but 95% of what we do over age 35 is habitual. That's such a great piece of knowledge, because I feel like that just wraps up super aging. Because, if that's 35, then we've got, if we're going to live to 105, we've got 70 years to start to unravel those habits. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can do it in a moment. I mean, there have been people who decided in a moment, I'm done with beer or whatever it is, and they just decide, and then that's it. And then other people, they'll stop and start and stop and start and try, and 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's still making progress. If it takes 13 times or 30 times, keep starting again, keep going. So yeah, that was Dr. BJ Fogg, Fogg, in his book, Super Tiny Habits. Yeah,
I love Tiny Habits
books. But
Yeah.
my book, so I've had several, but the last three are one is called Passionistas, and that was intentionally written for the millennial woman by older women, basically saying this is what we would tell our younger self. And so it was kind of what would you say to your 21-year-old self? The second one was called Mom and Dad Preneurs, and that was really about having this lifestyle where you can put your family first and then still contribute to your industry on a really high level, but without sacrificing your children and creating a great lifestyle that you want. And the last one was called Success Habits of Super Achievers, and that tells the story of over 80 different people who are incredibly successful, but they got there through overcoming some unimaginable difficulty that they turned into something spectacular.
Wow. Those are great. I want to order at least one of them today. So thank you so much. Is there any final words you want to leave our listeners with?
I mean, my goal every day is to let love win. I mean, that's always the barometer that I use and the lens that I look through in life when I'm making decisions about myself and about anyone that I influence. So it just helps me to think about, the purpose and meaning on my life. And that's my goal, to let love win. And if people do want to get in contact with me, I actually have a podcast called Fit Over 50 Life, which is an incredible group. We have a Facebook group with the same name, Fit Over 50 Life, and great group of over 30,000 50-plus-year-olds who just want to live those longer, stronger, more vibrant, energetic, fun years. And then I also have another program called Intentionally Fabulous. And that's about really redefining your life and creating this whole bonus life. And the first program in there is for women going through any stages of separation, divorce, and post-divorce who want to overcome that grief and just, heal and create an amazing life.
Great resources. And we'll link to all those in the podcast notes so everybody can connect with you. Yeah. And I can't wait to listen to your podcast and check out your Facebook group. And I'm sure there's going to be many listeners also interested. Any final words, Karen?
Well, Kelli, thank you so much for joining us and giving us information that most of us sort of know about, but we need to be reminded. And reminding us says, you know what? We all can have a great life. It's just one baby step at a time. So thank you so much. And Elise, again, another great podcast. We're all going to super age together. And let's get back together again soon. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye bye now.